The boat rocked gently as Jeffrey tried to act casual. He wasn't great at romance, but he was pretty good at pretending. He glanced at Amy, who was gripping the railing trying to hold on. "Relax, Amy," he said. "It's just a boat. We're not gonna sink. Nothing could go wrong." Amy's eyes narrowed. "Are you kidding me, Jeffrey? I can think of a million things that could go wrong." Jeffrey leaned back, thinking, if that's what you think, a million things are destined to go wrong for sure. Khoi Island appeared ahead, a slice of paradise, high-rising cliffs, beaches shining in gold sunlight. Waiting for them at the pier was a sleek black car, and a man who looked like he fell out of a Steven Spielberg horror film. His name, Buck Monroe. He was known as the most dynamic wedding planner on the island, but a tad bit on the spooky side, and his eyes seemed to measure people in fractions of a second. "Welcome," Buck said, voice smooth but carrying a heavy weight. "I heard you want a wedding, but don't get too attached to the idea. You probably won't survive past the first week of planning." Jeffrey chuckled nervously. "Survive?" Amy raised an eyebrow, saying, "Oh, Lord, help. Sounds like something's gonna go wrong." Buck gestured toward the car. "Shall we go?" Time waits for no man. Amy shot him a smile that could slice steel as they loaded into the car headed towards Buck the wedding planner's studio. The studio sat atop the cliffs, a glass palace overlooking a tumultuous ocean. It looked like an old dusty funeral home on the outside, somewhere like the Addams family would live. A dark cloud covered the place, yet the sun was shining bright and pretty just a few 100 feet away. Nonetheless, they stepped into the door, and to their surprise, it was the most beautiful gallery they'd ever seen. Jeffrey instantly imagined himself planning the most beautiful wedding ever. He was enjoying it. But Amy, on the other hand, was already inspecting the flower arrangements. "White orchids, not ivory," she muttered. "And these chairs. They're hideous. Gross. Whoever thought this would be something I'd want for my wedding? Can you even see that?" Jeffrey squinted and said, "Wow. You're tripping, babe. This is going to be a long process. Are you seriously complaining about the chairs?" Amy shot him a look, responding, "Yes. I'm complaining about these ugly-ass chairs. Look at me, Jeffrey, right here into my eyes," as she pulled him closer, face to face. So close their noses were nearly touching, she demanded, saying, "Focus, Jeffrey, focus, and hear me out. I need you to understand. Everything matters. Chairs, candles, and even that old spooky-looking black guy. He matters." Jeffrey giggled, but Amy didn't, saying, "What's so funny?" Jeffrey glanced over in the direction of Buck. He mumbled, "You said the spooky black guy matters? It's just funny because of the whole Black Lives Matter thing," as he continued to softly giggle like a kindergarten-age kid. "Focus. This is not Def Comedy Jam. If he want to be a part of my wedding planning, he needs to fix himself up a little and stop scaring people. And you, sir, you need to see what I'm doing, hear what I'm saying, and know what I'm thinking at all times, Jeffrey. Especially if you want people to remember your wedding as classy, unless mid is acceptable for you." Then Buck appeared, leaning casually against a doorway. He said, "Sometimes love is like fire. If controlled, it warms. If not, it burns." Jeffrey rolled his eyes. "Thanks for the pep talk, wedding whisperer." 3 days of planning, they still never agreed on anything. Jeffrey and Amy bickered through menu tastings, cake samplings, and floral arrangements. Every moment felt like a duel, and yet in those fiery moments, sparks flew, metaphorically, of course, because neither could deny the attraction simmering beneath the surface. They loved each other for sure, but they bitched, moaned, and complained about almost everything. Rain slammed against the glass walls of the studio. The couple just argued over table linens. Yes, linens. When Amy stormed outside, disappearing into the storm, Jeffrey slumped into a chair, muttering, "If I survive this wedding, it'll be a miracle." Buck appeared as if conjured from the shadows. $3 million, he said calmly, laying a folder on the table. "If you never marry each other, you can have the whole 3 million." Jeffrey blinked. "Wait, what?" Amy returned. It was almost like she could hear Buck's offer through the walls of the place. She asked, "Are you serious?" "I am," Buck replied evenly. "Walk away, and the money is yours. Marry, and you risk everything, perhaps even your lives." Jeffrey's brain short-circuited. 3 million. I can do a lot with that. Holy shit. Am I in some kind of weird reality show? Amy stared at him. No way. This guy is full of smelly shit. We're being blackmailed by a wedding planner? Buck's lips twitched, almost a smile. Some love is fragile. Some is dangerous. I'm simply giving you a choice. Jeffrey groaned. This has to be a fucking joke. But if it's real, for that amount of money, my wife-to-be is soon-to-be, not my wife anymore. Just saying. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside, and for the first time both realized that their wedding and their love might never be simple. The morning after, Jeffrey and Amy gathered in the studio, both drenched in anxiety and rainwater. The folder with the $3 million offer lay on the table like a pile of money. Buck suddenly entered. Again. Without knocking. Holding only a cup of coffee. He said, "You want answers? Then listen carefully." Amy crossed her arms and offered a fiery commentary saying, "We're not going to listen to you. I dare you to make this more dramatic than it already is. You're trying to break up a happy home because you probably don't have a relationship of your own. And where the hell did you get $3 million from? You're a wedding planner. There ain't a snowball's chance in hell that you make that much money. So how? Are you overcharging for those ugly-ass orchids? Lord have mercy on our souls. And why do you care if we get married or not? $3 million to break us up? I know for sure now. Something is going wrong." Buck ignored her. He began speaking of his past. The fiancé who disappeared the night before his own wedding. He didn't give her name, but the grief in his eyes was unmistakable. Jeffrey thought, wow, that's dark. And here I am whining about tulip placement. He glanced at Amy, who whispered, "Do you think he sometimes talks about us like we're his science experiment?" Amy added, "Either his science experiment or his own personal horror story." Buck abruptly interrupted, "I've made offers like this before. Some couples walked away and survived. Some didn't." Amy's eyes widened. "Didn't survive?" Buck's lips curved slightly. "You heard me correctly. Did not survive. And some vanish." Jeffrey swallowed hard. Vanishing? Great. So now I have to deal with romantic drama and a potential kidnapping? Fuck my life. As intriguing and entertaining the $3 million offer had been, reality hit the couple like a wave against the rocks of Khoi Island. Late one evening, Jeffrey and Amy sat at the edge of their suite's balcony, papers spread across the table, laptop screens glowing. They were reviewing invoices, trying to figure out how to transfer the gifted money into a safer account. That's when Amy noticed it, a line of fine print, a clause buried deep inside a vendor contract they'd both signed weeks ago. Her eyes widened. "Jeff, this can't be right." He leaned over. "What? What now?" She pointed at the laptop. "The account the money came from. It's ours." Jeffrey blinked. "Ours?" "Our wedding account." She scrolled down, voice trembling. "He didn't give us $3 million. He moved our money around. He made us think it was his." Jeffrey's head spun. "Wait, So we've been negotiating with ourselves this whole time? Amy sank back in her chair, a bitter laugh escaping. I should have known. Nothing on this island is free, not even sanity. A slow clap echoed from behind them. Buck stood in the doorway, coffee in hand, eyes glinting with mischief and wisdom. Well, he said, you finally caught on. He stepped forward, unhurried, the ocean wind tugging at his linen shirt. The point isn't the money, he said calmly. It never was. It's to see what you truly value, love, pride, or survival. He circled the table like a patient lion. He continued to explain, money is meaningless, a distraction, a mirror reflecting your fears. It's not gold that defines you, but how you react when the illusion of it disappears. Do you chase pride? Do you chase comfort? Or do you chase love? The messy, unpredictable, inconvenient, terrifying thing that can both save and destroy you. He paused, letting the island's stormy wind punctuate his words. Love is not a game, he said. It doesn't follow schedules or etiquette. It demands sacrifice, honesty, patience, and above all, courage. Pride is easier, money is safer, survival, tempting. But love? Love exposes you. It burns away every illusion until only truth remains. And that is what I've been testing. Amy's pulse quickened. A shiver raced through her spine. She said, he's terrifying and brilliant. He can see right through us. Jeffrey's stomach twisted. He said, love, pride, survival, and apparently, I'm failing all three. Buck straightened, brushing an invisible speck from his sleeve. His tone softened, but his eyes remained sharp. This test is a gift. It shows who you are when comfort vanishes. It shows what you value when every easy choice is stripped away. He took a step back, the sound of the waves swelling behind him. So ask yourselves, will you fight for what truly matters, or keep clinging to the illusion of control? The wind roared, the lights flickered, and for a long, heavy moment, no one spoke. Only the sea answered, crashing hard against the cliffs, as if Khoi Island itself were holding its breath, waiting for their choice. The morning of the wedding dawned too bright, a cruel kind of sunshine that didn't match the storm raging inside Jeffrey's chest. The sea outside shimmered like nothing could ever go wrong, but something already had. Amy was gone. Her side of the bed was cold, untouched, except for a single white orchid resting on her pillow. Buck's unmistakable signature. Jeffrey froze in the doorway. His throat went dry. His mind couldn't hold still. Did she leave me? Did Buck take her? Or is this some twisted Khoi Island test of my manhood? He sat on the edge of the bed, fingers trembling as he picked up the orchid. It was perfect, flawless, and suddenly horrifying. The faint scent of it made his stomach turn. He stood abruptly, pacing the room, scanning every surface for a note, a sign, anything. Her shoes were still by the door. The window was open, the curtains billowing like ghostly arms reaching for him. "Amy!" he shouted, voice cracking as he tore through the villa. "Amy!" He ran through the hallway, past the breakfast table set for two, the untouched fruit glistening in the morning light. He flung open the patio doors, sprinting barefoot across the deck, down the path, past the pool, through the palms that whispered secrets in the wind. "Amy!" His voice echoed down the cliffs. Nothing but the ocean answered. A slow, relentless crash against the rocks below. Jeffrey bent over, gasping, sweat dripping into his eyes. His heart pounded like a drum in his chest. He scanned the horizon, his mind racing through impossible possibilities. This can't be happening. Not today. Not after everything. He turned back toward the villa, dizzy, the sound of his own breath louder than the sea. The sunlight glared against the windows, too bright, too calm, too cruel. Then he saw it. On the glass door, 3 words written. Find the truth. Jeffrey's pulse stopped for a moment. The orchid fell from his hand, landing softly on the sand. He stumbled back, his chest tightening. The morning's serenity now felt sinister, the waves too calm, the air too still, as if the entire island were holding its breath. He grabbed his shirt from the chair, slipping it on with shaking hands. His reflection in the glass looked like a stranger, eyes wild, hair disheveled, fear breaking through his carefully built confidence. Truth? What truth? He tore through the villa once more, pulling open drawers, flipping over cushions, checking the bathroom, the balcony, even the closets, as if Amy might be hiding from him as part of some cruel game. Then he noticed something he hadn't seen before. On the vanity, next to her makeup bag, lay a small silver key tied with a ribbon. Beneath it, a note in Amy's handwriting. Go where the sun sleeps. Jeffrey swallowed hard. His mind darted back to their first night on Khoi Island when Buck had given them a tour of the cliffs at sunset. He'd called it the place where the sun sleeps. The West Cliffs. Jeffrey bolted out the door, the humid air hitting him like a wall. He ran down the stone steps toward the path that led through the palms. Every sound amplified. The crunch of gravel underfoot, the cry of gulls overhead, his own heartbeat in his ears. As he neared the edge of the island, he saw tire tracks in the sand, a fancy black luxury vehicle, the same one Buck used for special clients. He broke into a sprint. Amy, he called out to her, but no answer, just the wind and the sound of waves colliding with rocks. Then, faintly, a voice, a laugh. He froze. It was Buck's. Jeffrey crept toward the cliffside overlook, crouching behind a cluster of boulders. Below, near the water, he saw 2 figures. Buck, standing casually in his white linen suit, and Amy, sitting on the edge of a wooden pier, barefoot, her dress flowing in the wind. They weren't fighting. They were talking, calmly, intimately. Jeffrey's stomach dropped. He strained to listen. Buck's voice carried easily. You see now, don't you? He had to be pushed to the edge to find out who he really is. Amy looked down, her voice barely audible. I didn't think it would go this far. Buck smiled, not kindly, saying, Growth never feels gentle. Jeffrey's vision blurred with rage and disbelief. She knew. She's been part of this? He stepped out from behind the rocks. What the hell is this? Amy turned, startled. Buck didn't flinch. Jeffrey, Buck said, his tone maddeningly calm. You found the truth. Jeffrey's fists clenched. You used me. Both of you. For what? Some twisted experiment? Buck's eyes narrowed slightly. No, Jeffrey. For clarity, he gestured toward Amy. She knew about the test, but she didn't know how you'd react. And now? We both know. Amy stood, tears in her eyes. Jeff, please. It wasn't supposed to feel like betrayal. Buck wanted us to… To what? He frantically asked. To lose our minds? Amy, you played me. Buck stepped closer, his presence commanding. He said, Don't you see? The test wasn't about love or money. It was about truth. And the truth is… Jeffrey cut him off. The truth is, you're insane, you asshole. Buck smiled faintly and said, Perhaps. But I see what others refuse to. You two were never ready for marriage, not because you don't love each other, but because you don't know each other. He turned to leave, but not before dropping one final line. He said, Sometimes the most merciful thing love can do is destroy itself before it dies. The wind howled. The waves slammed into the rocks below, sending up a mist that felt like cold fire on Jeffrey's skin. Amy tried to speak, but Jeffrey couldn't hear her anymore. He was already walking away, the words "find the truth" echoing in his mind, over and over, until they no longer sounded like a message, but a curse. The storm rolled in at dusk, sudden, violent, and alive. Rain pounded the cliffs like drums of war, and the sky cracked open with thunder that rattled the island to its bones. Jeffrey sat alone in the chapel Buck had built years ago, the one overlooking the endless blue of the South Khoi Sea, the wedding that never was. The candles flickered, their light dancing against the stained glass walls, coloring his face with blues and golds. His suit was soaked, his hands trembled, his heart felt hollow. What now, he thought? What was it all for? Behind him, footsteps echoed. Buck entered, calm, unbothered. "I figured you could use this," he said softly. Jeffrey didn't look up. "You win, Buck. She's gone. You broke us both." Buck took a seat in the pew. For a long moment neither spoke. The rain did the talking. Then Buck said, "You think I wanted to break you?" He shook his head. "No, son. I wanted to save you." Jeffrey turned, eyes red. "Save me? From what?" Buck looked out through the glass toward the raging ocean. "From a promise neither of you were ready to keep. I've seen couples come here chasing perfection. Money, rings, the illusion of forever. They think love is about getting married, but marriage doesn't make love real. Truth does." He leaned forward, his tone dropping lower. "You two would have torn each other apart. You needed to fall apart first, to understand who you are without the dream." Jeffrey swallowed hard. "You made me believe she was gone, that I'd lost everything." Buck smiled faintly. "Sometimes, loss is the only language the heart understands." Silence lingered. Then the chapel doors creaked open. Amy stepped in, drenched from the rain, her hair clinging to her face. She looked fragile and fierce all at once. "I didn't leave," she said quietly. "Buck told me to go to the cliffs, to wait until you came looking." Jeffrey blinked, unsure if he should be angry or relieved. He asked, "You were in on it? The whole time?" Amy shook her head. "Not like you think. I didn't know how it would end. He said the island would decide." Buck stood, a proud smile breaking through the storm in his eyes. He walked toward the altar, lighting one last candle, the largest one, shaped like a heart split in two halves. The flame caught, steady and golden. Buck said, "This island has seen hundreds of weddings," his voice echoing through the chapel, "but only a few love stories. Yours isn't about vows or rings. It's about seeing each other clearly, even in the storm." He looked at Jeffrey and Amy and continued, saying, "If you can forgive, not me, but each other, then maybe, just maybe, you're ready to begin again." Amy's eyes glistened. She reached for Jeffrey's hand. He hesitated, then took it. For the first time, there was peace. No perfection, just truth. Buck nodded once, satisfied, and proudly said, "Then my work here is done." He turned toward the door, the rainlight outlining him like a halo. "Buck," Jeffrey called after him, "who are you really?" Buck smiled over his shoulder, that same knowing, ageless grin. "Just a man who loves seeing love done right. Some call me a wedding planner. Others call me a legend." He stepped out into the rain, disappearing down the path as the thunder softened and the clouds began to part. Amy leaned her head on Jeffrey's shoulder. "Do you think we'll ever see him again?" Jeffrey exhaled slowly. "Maybe not. But somehow, I think he'll always be watching." Outside, the rain eased into a warm mist. The orchids that lined the chapel steps glowed faintly in the fading light, white, flawless, eternal, and from that day forward, Locals would tell the story of the man called Buck, the legendary wedding planner of Khoi Island, the one who didn't just plan weddings, but tested hearts. Some say he still walks the cliffs, waiting for the next couple brave enough to discover the truth about love. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate your support.